All right, let's talk about one of the biggest, most confusing puzzles on Wall Street, Tesla. This is a company that has famously, and let's be honest, painfully burned just about anyone who dared to bet against it. So how does a company that generates so much debate hold on to such a mind-boggling valuation? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and try to explain what's really going on.
You know, to really get a grip on Tesla, our source, TechOnion, says you have to start right here with this quote. The idea is that Tesla isn't just a regular company you can analyze with spreadsheets and earnings reports. Nope, it's a phenomenon, it's a cultural force that acts a lot more like a meme stock. It just seems to defy financial gravity, powered by a powerful story and an almost cult-like following.
And that really gets us to the central mystery, the big head-scratcher. How can a company with car sales that are actually falling still be worth $850 billion? It just doesn't seem to add up. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the 3 core myths that our source says are propping this whole thing up.
Okay, let's kick things off with the biggest, most foundational myth of them all. Our source calls it the category fraud. This is the #1 argument you'll hear from Tesla supporters, and it all boils down to one simple but really powerful claim.
This is it. This is the magic sentence. The whole argument is that you just can't value Tesla like you would Ford or Toyota because, well, it's not really competing with them. It's a technology platform, right? An AI and robotics firm that just happens to be making cars for now. But I mean, how well does that claim actually hold up when you look at the company's own numbers?
Well, when you look at the estimates for 2025, the numbers tell a very, very different story. A staggering 92% of their revenue comes directly from selling and leasing cars. Just look at that donut chart. The other pieces of the pie, energy and services, they're tiny in comparison. So it kind of begs the question, right? If 92% of your money comes from cars, what else could you possibly be?
And I think this is a brilliant way to show the logical disconnect here. I mean, we don't have any problem calling SpaceX a rocket company or Netflix a streaming company based on what they actually do and sell, right? But for some reason, with Tesla, the whole argument shifts to this vague future vision. This comparison really makes you wonder, why is Tesla the only one that gets treated differently?
Okay, so let's say we accept it. Tesla is a car company. The next logical question is pretty simple. How good of a car company is it really? And that brings us to our second myth. The invincible leader.
Now this is a shocking number for a company that's supposed to be all about explosive growth. For the first time in its modern history, Tesla's deliveries didn't just slow down a little bit, they actually went backward. A decline of nearly 9% year over year, that signals a huge change in what's happening with the business.
And this chart right here visualizes a dramatic, almost unbelievable shift in the EV world. For years, Tesla was the undisputed king. No one was even close. But in 2025, the Chinese automaker BYD didn't just catch up. They blew right past them, selling over 600,000 more battery electric vehicles. That's a huge gap.
And just to add a little bit of irony to the whole situation, here's a clip from an interview back in 2011 where BYD was basically dismissed as a complete joke. Fast forward to today, and they are Tesla's single biggest global competitor. Our source says this really highlights a massive, massive strategic underestimation.
So you might be wondering, how is Tesla still even competing, especially in the US and Europe? Well, according to TechOnion, the answer isn't superior technology. It's government protectionism. These huge tariffs on Chinese EVs are basically what's keeping cheaper competitors like the BYD Seagull off the roads. I mean, without them, the price difference would be absolutely enormous. The argument here is that Tesla's real competitive moat isn't innovation, it's tariffs.
Okay, this brings us to the final and maybe the most important myth of all. If the car company of today is struggling, then that giant valuation must be based on some spectacular, world-changing future, right? But what if that future is what the source calls vaporware? You know, products that get announced over and over but never actually seem to show up.
I mean, this timeline really says it all, doesn't it? It makes a pretty damning case about the whole robo-taxi promise. Since 2016, a fleet of fully autonomous Teslas has always been just next year. It's always just around the corner. This pattern is central to the argument that the company's valuation is built on promises that, so far, have consistently failed to materialize.
And hey, it's not just the robo-taxis. Let's look at the next big promise, humanoid robots. So, Tesla's Optimus gets a ton of hype, right? But its competitors already have robots out there, deployed and working in the real world, in places like BMW factories and Amazon warehouses. Meanwhile, Optimus, it has 0 commercial deployments.
So, what do you do when you have a growing mountain of unsold cars, and your key future project, the robotaxi network, doesn't exist yet? Well, according to our source, you pull a little accounting maneuver. By relabeling that unsold inventory as future robotaxi assets, the company gets to avoid a huge financial write-down that would basically be an admission of weakening demand.
All right, let's bring all of this together for the final reckoning. How can this massive disconnect between the simple arithmetic of the business and the sky-high valuation of the stock exist for so long? The answer, according to our source, lies in a battle between two very powerful forces.
So the source material introduces this really fascinating idea called misattention. Just think of her as the modern internet age version of Wall Street's old Mr. Market. See, she doesn't care about the fundamentals. She couldn't care less about profit margins. She cares about hype, controversy, and narrative. And for years, Tesla has been her absolute favorite, mastering the art of using this new currency of attention to defy financial gravity.
And this slide just captures that conflict perfectly. On one side, you have old-school Mr. Market, who only cares about the hard numbers. Revenue, deliveries, competition, arithmetic and reality. But on the other side, you have misattention, who gets swayed by memes, hype, controversy, and a good story. The core of the Tesla saga is that for a very long time, misattention has been winning.
And so that leaves us with this final, really provocative question. What happens when the algorithm, the powerful narrative-shaping machine that has kept this whole story alive, finally collides with the deteriorating reality of the business? Our source material seems to suggest that a reckoning is inevitable. The only question is when. And that, right there, is the billion-dollar question at the very heart of the Tesla story. Thanks for tuning in.